Namaskar. Tonight's reading of Sri Sri Anandamurti's darshan or philosophy is on a kind of curious, mysterious topic or sounding topic. It's nobody looks at the subject. The snake looks at the frog. The snake is the subject and the frog the object. The frog watches the mosquito. The frog is the subject. The mosquito is the object. The mosquito looks at the dewdrop. The mosquito is the subject. The dewdrop the object. But the snake itself is not aware that it is being watched by the peacock. Peacocks eat snakes. And the peacock is not aware that it is being watched by the hunter. The hunter is the subject, and the peacock is the object. Nobody looks at the subject. This is the usual practice in the world. If people had chosen to look at the subject, everything would be in proper order. It has been said earlier that everything takes place within the mind of the supreme subject, the supreme witnessing entity. The objects which are being witnessed are also within the cosmic mind. In other words, all the objects of the world together are the object of the supreme subjectivity. So the key idea, or the key sentence in this is that everything would be in proper order if people had chosen to look at the subject. So, what does it mean in proper order? If we look at reality and things are not in the proper order, we only see the objects, we don't see the subject who is watching us. Then we get a kind of uneasy feeling that nothing makes sense. That, when you see the universe and you think that people like Trump are in charge, then it gives you a kind of a strange feeling of insecurity. And that's because we're not looking at the subject, right? It's like being in a huge army full of powerful weapons, but there's no general, right? So it says that the tendency, or how the world always does it, is that everyone and everything, from frogs, mosquitoes, snakes, peacocks, or whatever, they always look at the object. We're trained and we're used to seeing the object, not seeing what's behind us, watching us. So it's not only us who forget to do that. Everything along the chain looks at the object and forgets the subject, which is watching it. So that's the thing. If you want to see things in the proper order, if you want to get the complete picture, the whole picture, which makes sense, which feels right, which gives meaning, you have to not just look at the object, but see the subject behind everything. And if we do that, suddenly we feel we have a comfortable and appropriate and proper place in this universe. The divine consciousness, which is creating everything, controlling everything, guiding everything for a purpose, an educative purpose, an entertainment purpose, to make life interesting and to help us evolve our consciousness. If we remember the subject which is witnessing and controlling everything, that all makes sense and it feels right. And also, life becomes more beautiful because we feel this a greater presence than ourselves. Whereas if we only look at the objects, then me and my ego are the most important and the biggest subject in this universe. And that is kind of not very impressive, right? Whereas if you feel the presence and the witnessing of that subject, witnessing everything, creating and sustaining everything within its mind, within the cosmic mind, then there is a sense of space, of grandeur, of greatness, which is missing if you lose that sense of the subject, or that awareness of the subject. And there's a simple practice which Sri Sri Anandamurti said over and over again: always remember that you are being witnessed by the Supreme Subject. That is the secret, the most important secret in the universe, which puts everything in the correct order, makes sense of everything, gives meaning and beauty to everything. Namaskar. So, comments, complaints, questions?
I think Baba is for us the object, not the subject. Because objective approach, subjective adjustment. So in this world we have to adjust to get Baba in the end. Maybe I'm confused, but that is...
Well, we tend to think of God in the way we think of most things, right? As our objects. But it is not the correct order of things because, just like you have the dewdrop, the mosquito, the frog, the snake, the peacock, the hunter, and each one of them forgets what's behind it, what is witnessing and creating.
Baba is the object. That means that is what behind everything for me. And the mosquito and all these other things, what is in the world, I have to adjust to. That forgetting not that he is behind everything.
Okay, so...
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't
but,
know.
Okay, but let's see what...
approaching, Baba said, from crude to subtle, from imperfection to perfection. So we are going slowly, like magnet is pulling us. I don't think that we can do any effort to come closer, whatever. But so when we don't forget that, I don't know, the object of our ideation, or is he the subject of our ideation?
Well, Baba says it's a difficult problem because Paramapurusha can never be your object, because you are created within the Supreme Consciousness's mind, right? Yeah. So it is the mind of the Divine Consciousness which is sustaining you. You wouldn't exist if it wasn't imagining you. So in actual fact, it is the subject and you are the object. So, but how do you think about your subject? The way that he suggests is just remember that the Supreme Consciousness is witnessing me, right?
So in this case, it is a subjective approach and objective adjustment.
In fact, that is the correct thing. That is the proper phrase. The phrase is not objective approach and subjective adjustment. The correct phrase is subjective approach and objective adjustment. So you adjust with the things around you, but you always remember the Supreme Subject and keep that awareness of the presence of the Supreme Witnessing Consciousness, right?
So in creational purpose, it is objective approach, subjective adjustment. In terms of power, it is subjective approach, objective.
No, it's always the subjective approach and objective adjustment. That's always how it is. Means you adjust with the material world, while remembering that you are not the doer, right? So that's subjective approach. Remembering that you are not the doer is subjective approach, and doing what needs to be done, but without ego, is objective adjustment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Isn't it pratik, huh? You can say pratik with the triangles. both the subjective and
Yeah, the downward pointing triangle indicates subjective approach. All right, any other thoughts or questions? Okay, let's finish there. Thank you. Namaskar.